divided over the fate of the star. A rare occurrence, always fleeting. But not this time. Not this time.
The ancients didn't collectively agree on the third sacrifice. Had that been the case, Elidibus would not have withdrawn himself from Zodiark for the purpose of reconciliation. We're given no indication there was an unwillingness to compromise or seek other options, save for one abstracted cutscene from Venat's point of view. Sadly, we never directly see Elidibus's attempts to mediate, since a character with agency cannot be allowed anywhere near Venat. It also seems unlikely the third sacrifice would have taken place while he, as the heart, was absent, and rather it would appear Venat used his departure to her advantage to strike a weakened Zodiark. The discovery on the moon that the souls of the first two sacrifices were intact, retrievable, and existing within a purgatory also shifted the moral calculus of the arguments. It became understandable to view it as imperative to save their souls instead of abandoning them to their fate. It's not reasonable to expect everyone to forge ahead with their lives carrying that knowledge, especially those who had lost loved ones in what was an act of altruism to save civilization from extinction. A fundamental part of their belief system was returning to the star, and their saviors were being denied it.
Supposing it is all true, I must ask myself why I would do what I did. Why would I feel I had no recourse but to oppose the 14 and create this Hydaelyn?
The Warrior of Light told them of the sacrifices because Emmett comments within this same cutscene, to sacrifice oneself for the star is a noble act. At this point, without the context of Medion and her report, Venat does not understand her future self's actions. This is because Venat's objective was never to protect the new life. They were sundered too. It was to prevent the ancients from going down what she considered to be the path of weakness. During the Anamnesis Aniter cutscene, the concern brought up is, should we continue down this path, it will not serve to forestall our doom. They're discussing the fate of mankind, not the lives of the sacrifice. Her objection is ideological, not moral, based on what the sacrifice represents to her, rather than the sacrifice itself. She never speaks of the right to life, nor have the writers tied their defense to her motives. They didn't matter to her except how they factored into what she viewed as the ancients' downfall. This is the ideology presented and given screen time as being her dilemma in Endwalker. The information we'd initially received about the third sacrifice was from Emmett Selk by proxy in Shadowbringers. The Convocation believed that's what the conflict was about. However, we learned they were misled. This was also alluded to in an interview with Yoshida in August of 2019 with 4Gamer, where he says, "We don't know until we hear Hydaelyn's side of the story." The details of the third sacrifice were far too extensive to get into in this video. Please see the separate one we have planned dedicated to its discussion. Did she propose any alternatives, or were her faction collectively willing to forsake those who'd given their lives so that they may live? Even had people been swayed to her side, what then? How does it solve the issue of Medion? Had mankind suitably passed her test, would they have been rewarded with the truth instead of condemned to obliteration? Does it not settle the debate that sundering everything for the purpose of Dynamis was unnecessary if she wouldn't have done it had they answered her platitudes with the attitude she demanded? Noting Azim also refused to join Venat simply on the basis of countering Zodiark. Venat's hand was not stayed for anyone. She destroyed all, believers in her cause and new life alike. The writer's creating a situation in which she's justified in the massacre of everyone on the star, culpable or otherwise, is a sketchy idea to put into a story. What was her threshold? Had the decision to proceed with the third sacrifice come down to 51 to 49, would she still have gone through with the sundering, even if nearly half of mankind had opposed it? Hydaelyn's summoners were also kept in ignorance. A friendship of record, confirmed she withheld the truth and offered precious little of her glimpse into the future. It's worth noting, during the Uniter recording, the one reporting back from meeting with the Convocation is not Venat. As Emmett tells us in Elpis, the Convocation does not tolerate acts of deception or malice. We are practiced at perceiving truth, and would have known had Fandaniel lied to us. Venat would have been detected as being deceitful had she ever entreated with the Convocation, so any attempt to do so would not have been in good faith. It would also suggest she never personally engaged with either Elidibus or Azim, which may be why one of her summoners beseeched the latter. The line in the aforementioned short story, "A power such as Zodiark possessed was anathema to the progress of man," shows he'd been made into an ideological straw man. Venat would have been trying to convince traumatized, grief-stricken people why they should allow their family and friends to remain imprisoned inside Zodiark. Particularly egregious is the line about learning from the mistakes of yesterday. We're not shown there was ever an alternative to Zodiark, and at the time he was summoned, the star had been so corrupted the only ether left to use were the ancients themselves. Saying the future must not bear the cost for saving the past sounds great on paper, but isn't practical. It's a pleasant-sounding principle that does nothing to explain why exactly they should be willing to abandon the 75% who sacrificed themselves for their benefit inside Zodiark when they could yet be saved. Noting the new life are the creations of Zodiark that only exist as a result of their sacrifice. Whatever arguments she made were formulated while hiding the truth of the crisis. They cannot know the issue is unresolved unless Venat tells them why it's not. The ancients volunteered under the imminent threat of the star dying, and when you speak to them in Mare Lamentorum, it's clear many are not happy about what happened. Venat told no one of the final days, allowed Zodiark to be created with the lives of the people around her, gathered followers to oppose him instead of Medion, and then fundamentally stole him for her own purposes. Hydaelyn decided their immortal souls would be the perpetual protectors of her children instead, leaving them removed from the ethereal sea indefinitely, a fate worse than death. Her plan was predicated on their non-consensual exploitation, and then she ensured any knowledge of them was erased from history. As an aside, I continue to be baffled at the stance some have taken that the necessary self-sacrifice of the ancients, which is consistently referred to in a positive and admiring light, is more evidence they earned or deserved their fate. The infamous quote, "A single death is a tragedy, a million deaths is a statistic," by Joseph Stalin seems appropriate here. We're given only one face to those who offered their lives and immortal souls in heroic self-sacrifice to save the star, and that's Hythlodaeus. The few others we encounter are either the nameless shades on the moon or generic ancient speech behind masks with no meaning to us. This is part of Endwalker's systematic dehumanization of the ancients. It's important to note here that these were people's family, friends, and loves, that their unwillingness to forsake was twisted and used as justification for their demise. Elidibus says, "That is what our people are to us, an irreplaceable existence that can ill be lost. I will save them."